Joining us now on the phone is Senator Chris Coons of Delaware, a close friend, confidant, Senate successor to Joe Biden. Senator, it's great to have you on a day like today. As you watch now President Biden winding his way around Arlington National Cemetery after delivering the message that he did today, bidding farewell to the state of Delaware yesterday, what can you tell us about his mindset and where he is right now?
Well, Kayla, Joe Biden has always been an optimist. He's always been someone who's managed to get back up when life has knocked him down, someone who looks at our history as a nation of overcoming huge challenges, who relies on his own faith and family, and with all of that has managed to find his way to hopefulness, to optimism about our country and its future. Yesterday's departure from Delaware was a tearful, heartfelt moment for Joe because he left from the Beau Biden National Guard Center, a poignant reminder to him of the beloved son who did not make it to Washington with him after he's finally achieved his decades-long dream of being sworn in as President of the United States. I don't think Joe could have imagined when he first ran for president the crises that he would face today now that he is president. But I think he is exactly the right leader for this moment to challenge us to come together and to confront the challenges in front of us.
Okay. Senator, let's listen into Arlington. We'll come back to you on the other side of this. All right, you are watching President Biden, Vice President Harris, an incredibly solemn moment as they pay their respects, the moment of silence and a laying of a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknowns at Arlington National Cemetery. We are still joined on the phone by Delaware Senator Chris Coons, who was just talking with us about the state of mind that President Biden is in after so many decades in political service, so many attempts at the presidency over those decades, Senator Coons. And on the campaign trail, this time around, he was criticized as someone who, because of his background, wanted the status quo when the country needed real structural change. Of course, he has staffed his cabinet with many progressives, people from the entire spectrum of the Democratic Party. But I'm wondering, as he now turns to governing and his priorities there, what you think his priorities will look like.
Well, Joe knows how to assemble a cabinet that is strong and seasoned, capable and yet diverse, and how to govern. He had 36 years in the Senate, 8 years as vice president. He's had a challenging primary campaign season during which to hammer out his policy proposals, and 2020 has sharpened his focus even further. The first job, of course, is getting us out of this pandemic that has already taken more lives of Americans than the Second World War, that is raging at its worst right now. And the flawed response, the flawed federal response from the previous administration is going to make this very hard. But he's been focused on it since the election. He has spent the last 2 months preparing to tackle this pandemic. Right behind that is strengthening our economy, our healthcare system, and addressing racial inequality. The ways in which he deals with the pandemic and the economy will build back better and make us more competitive and more inclusive. But he's got to have good partners in Congress who are willing to partner with his bold proposals that he just laid out in his America Rescue Plan earlier this week.
And to that end, the pursuit of many of those policies, senators, will begin with the reversal of policies from the Trump era. There is an impeachment trial that is set to get underway at some point in the early part of his term. How much political capital does he have now? How much could be chipped away because of those actions?
Well, as your question reflects, the typical assumption is that a president comes in with his political capital, his or her political capital at their high point, and they spend it down. I think we're in an unusual moment. After the election, President Trump has spent the last 2 months not being president, tweeting, golfing, spinning a conspiracy theory that he won when he lost, and the tragic results we saw in the storming and sacking of the Capitol just Wednesday now, 2 weeks ago. I think it's possible for Joe Biden, by responding to this pandemic in a competent and caring way, to actually build his political capital, to surprise the American people by showing that he and Mitch McConnell, that the leaders in the House and Senate can actually work together to solve problems. Most Americans are deeply frustrated with Congress. In fact, have largely given up on our delivering anything like the real solutions they desperately need. Joe is someone who's never forgotten where he's from, who has a practical, common sense bent, and who sees the suffering of the American people. He's going to give us a chance to move forward boldly together, and I pray that the Congress takes him up on it.
And hopefully, Senator, we'll be able to have you back to have those important conversations about the nuts and bolts of those legislative efforts. We appreciate your joining us today.
Of course.